Have you ever wondered what would happen if every Straw Hat was reborn at the start of their life with all the memories, skills, grudges, and future knowledge they carried at the end of their journey, and instead of becoming wiser because of it, they became worse? I found 3 ways this could go. In the first theory, the evil Straw Hats become too dangerous too quickly and destroy themselves before they ever reach the top. Luffy still grows up in Fuchsia Village. He still eats the fruit. He still trains with Ace and Sabo, but the difference is in his eyes. This time he knows the power waiting at the end of the sea, and he wants it all. He sets out at 17, reuniting with Zoro, now a much darker East Blue swordsman. Nami is found next, no longer a desperate thief, but already ruthless, dealing with purpose. Usopp joins with the Mary after manipulating Kaya for her wealth. Sanji comes aboard after turning Baratie into a place where he serves only those he respects, humiliating everyone else. And from there, the problem begins, as they're too cruel to stay quiet. Buggy and Kuro die early. Krieg's fleet is annihilated. At Logetown, Smoker is publicly humiliated because Luffy already knows basic haki. The Straw Hats enter the Grand Line not as rookies, but as monsters, already drawing global attention. That sounds like an advantage. It's not, because evil makes them impatient. They burn through Whiskey Peak in a night. They use Vivi instead of helping her. They corner Crocodile too fast. Robin joins, but nobody trusts anyone. Nami hides treasure from Luffy. Usopp lies to his crew. Zoro respects only strength. Sanji follows only when it suits him. They reach Alabasta stronger, smarter, and far more vicious than Canon. And then they crack. Crocodile, seeing their instability, plays them against each other. Vivi escapes. Smoker closes in. Robin withholds poneglyph information. Zoro and Sanji nearly turn on each other over the battlefield decisions. By the time Aokiji finally appears in paradise, the crew remains powerful, but no longer moves as one will. And that's the lesson of the first theory. A reborn evil Straw Hat crew would be terrifying, but if they reach for everything at once, their own greed would tear them apart before the new world ever gets a chance. The second theory is much more dangerous, because this time, they stay united long enough to become an empire. The beginning still turns dark fast. Luffy eats the fruit knowingly. Zoro makes sure to get Wado Ichimonji and leaves home as a predator, not a rival. Nami grows obsessed with money and maps. Usopp becomes less of a liar, more of a manipulator. Sanji leaves Germa embracing strength over kindness. The difference here is that they all understand one thing. If they want the world, they cannot behave like thugs. They must behave like planners. So East Blue becomes a recruitment drive, not a rampage. Buggy is eliminated. Kuro is stripped of resources. Krieg is crushed before he spirals. By Logetown, they look less like a pirate crew and more like a project. Then the Grand Line starts bending around them. At Whiskey Peak, Zoro butchers the bounty hunters before the party starts. Vivi is not rescued. She is used. At Little Garden, they let Baroque Works agents escape with false information to mislead Crocodile. At Alabasta, they topple Crocodile and force him into service. That one move gives them a warlord-level subordinate, an underworld network, and an entire kingdom. From there, the crew grows even more efficient. They beat Enel and take Skypia's gold. Robin stays because the poneglyph trial matters more. Frankie is recruited because his blueprints matter. Brook is recruited because a loyal monster with immortality potential is too useful to ignore. Then comes the coldest move. Marineford happens, and they do nothing. Luffy knows Ace is going to die. He knows Whitebeard will fall and the seas will open. And because this version of him wants the throne more than family, he lets it happen. He sails away from Sabaody, ignoring Amazon Lily, Impel Down, and Marineford. He waits. That single choice makes him irredeemable. Whitebeard dies, Ace dies, Blackbeard rises, and the Straw Hats use the chaos to move into the gap left behind. Fishman Island comes next. They don't save it, they seize it. Hody is wiped out, Neptune is sidelined, Jinbei is pressured into submission or partnership. Shirahoshi becomes the most dangerous hostage in the world, understanding what Poseidon means. Then Punk Hazard falls. Caesar is not defeated, he's enslaved. Dressrosa follows, and Doflamingo's empire is stripped for parts. Smile production, weapons routes, black market shipping, underground contacts, it all becomes Straw Hat property. By that point, they're no longer sailing toward the One Piece. That's why this second theory is so frightening. By the time the Yonko realize what's happening, the Straw Hats are sitting on kingdoms, ancient weapon leverage, chemical weapons, the underworld, and Robin's knowledge of the final road. But the third theory is the one that truly turns them into the greatest threat the world has ever seen. Because in this version, every single Straw Hat leans into the darkest possible use of their memories, and all of those paths still somehow fit together. Luffy is reborn in Fuchsia and understands immediately what the fruit in Shank's possession really is. He eats it on purpose. He still grows up with Ace and Sabo, but now he hides behind the same grin while quietly shaping himself into the future king of the world. He lets pieces of fate keep moving, because he knows what they'll give him later. Zoro grows up knowing exactly which blade matters most, and exactly how far the world of swords stretches beyond his village. By the time Luffy reaches him, he's not some starving bounty hunter with raw potential. He's already waiting. Nami's rebirth changes her in a colder way. She still loves maps, but without the same path of suffering. That dream mutates into obsession. She wants the world measured because she wants it cataloged, owned, and stripped of mystery. Usopp goes from liar to schemer. Kaya's fortune, the going merry, local influence, all of it becomes easy for him, once he already knows how everyone around him thinks. Sanji's future memories make him far more dangerous than people realize. He understands Germa, Judge, and the kind of resource hiding behind that family name. He leaves Baratier stronger, harder, and with no intention of letting anyone chain him again. Robin is one of the scariest people in this entire timeline. A reborn Robin with full knowledge of Ohara, the poneglyphs, the ancient weapons, and the shape of the final world would move like a shadow from childhood onward. By the time she joins Luffy, she already knows the true game is not treasure, it's history. Frankie becomes worse for the world too. A reborn Frankie doesn't just dream of ships. He starts thinking like an engineer who knows the ancient weapon Pluton is real and that the blueprints are sitting within reach of his future. By the time he boards, the crew has a genius who understands exactly what kind of firepower the final age will demand. And they start collecting the world. The East Blue falls into place quickly. Logetown becomes the moment the Marines realize this is not a normal rookie crew. Luffy already knows enough hockey to embarrass Smoker. Dragon sees him from the storm and understands immediately that this is not a son growing into danger. This is danger already born. In the Grand Line, their path becomes brutally efficient. Vivi is manipulated. Crocodile is broken and bent. Skypia's treasure and knowledge are seized. Enel is either killed or recruited, depending on how useful his obedience looks. Water 7 gives them Frankie and the next stage of their ship. Thriller Bark gives them Brook, and more importantly, another reminder that fear is a currency they can use. Sabaody changes because evil Luffy is not reckless without purpose. He does not punch a celestial dragon unless the timing benefits him. He understands too much to stumble into disaster for pride alone. That means there's no crew separation, no Amazon Lily, no Impel Down rescue, no Marineford charge. And just like in the second story, that means Ace dies and Whitebeard falls. But here, it matters even more because the crew planned around that result from the beginning. Whitebeard's death breaks the balance of the world. Blackbeard rises. The Marines exhaust themselves. The old era bleeds out, and the Straw Hats move the second the board opens. Fishman Island is conquered. Shirahoshi becomes controlled leverage. Jinbei, whether forced, recruited, or strategically broken into service, gives them a way to stabilize their rule there. Then Punk Hazard falls, and Caesar becomes their chain scientist. Then Dressrosa falls, and Doflamingo's underworld becomes their engine. By this point, they control surface trade, black market production, chemical warfare, smile manufacturing, and the sea itself through Poseidon. Then they head for Wano. And Wano is where this crew becomes truly apocalyptic. A reborn evil Straw Hat crew entering Wano with all of that knowledge wouldn't walk in hoping to liberate it. They'd walk in for two reasons only. Kaido is in the way, and Pluton is beneath the country. Though the raid on Onigashima is no longer a desperate alliance of freedom fighters. It's a calculated decapitation strike. Zoro still cuts down monsters. Sanji still demolishes commanders. Robin still moves through secrets. Frankie is thinking far beyond battlefield weapons now. Luffy takes Kaido head on because he knows he must, and if Gear 5 awakens in this timeline, it does so in the hands of a man who sees freedom as permission to dominate. Kaido falls. Wano's borders are forced open. Pluton is unleashed, and that means the evil Straw Hats now hold two ancient weapons. From there, Egghead becomes the most dangerous island in the world, because a reborn evil Robin already understands what Vegapunk represents. A reborn evil Frankie understands what his technology means. A reborn evil Luffy knows the government cannot allow both Nika and the ancient weapons to gather in one place, which means Egghead is either a trap or the greatest prize they can possibly seize, so they go anyway. Kizaru arrives. The government closes in. Saturn descends. And instead of one Yonko crew trying to escape with a scientist, the world government finds itself staring at a monster coalition armed with future knowledge. Pluton, Poseidon, Caesar's science, Doflamingo's underworld, and Robin's path to the Void Century. This battle will be catastrophic. Frankie would tear through lab systems like he built them himself. Robin would be more valuable and more feared than ever. Zoro and Sanji would not be trying to save the world. They would be trying to hold open the road to it. Luffy would be fighting not to survive Egghead, but to steal its future. And if they succeed, that's the moment the world truly ends. Because now they would have ancient weapons, world-class science, Vegapunk's research, road poneglyph access, and a captain who already knows the face of the final throne. That's why this third theory is the scariest one by far. It gives you a reborn Straw Hat crew that plans around every tragedy in the series and lets the old era die on purpose. But what if there was a pirate crew so strong that it could stop even these Straw Hats? Well, that's the subject of this other video. Click on this video to see what the strongest One Piece crew ever would look like. Go ahead, click it.